Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are continuing on from the J Podcast Studio, and we are on to Psalm 138. Lisa, any words before we introduce ourselves?
No, let's do this.
I'm Deacon Dave.
I'm layperson Lisa.
Welcome to the Deacon Dave and Layperson Lisa show. So, Lisa, you take us into Psalm 138. I'll try to pay attention this time.
Okay. Unto the end, a psalm of David. O Lord, you have examined me, and you have known me. You have known my sitting down and my rising up again. You have understood my thoughts from afar. My path and my fate you have investigated, and you have foreseen all my ways, for there is no word in my tongue. Behold, O Lord, you have known all things, the newest and the very old. You have formed me, and you have placed your hand over me. Your knowledge has become a wonder to me. It has been reinforced, and I am not able to prevail against it. Where will I go from your spirit? And where will I flee from your face? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I descend into hell, you are near. If I assume my feathers in early morning and dwell in the utmost parts of the sea, even there your hand will lead me and lead me forth, and your right hand will hold me. And I said, perhaps darkness will overwhelm me, and the night will be my illumination to my delight. But darkness will not be impenetrable to you, and night will illuminate like the day. For just as its darkness is, so also is its light. For you have possessed my temperament. You have supported me from the womb of my mother. I will confess to you, for you have been magnified terribly. Your works are miraculous, as my soul knows exceedingly well. My bone, which you have made in secret, has not been hidden from you, and my substance is in accord with the lower parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my imperfection, and all this shall be written in your book. Days will be formed, and no one shall be in them. But to me, O Lord, your friends have been greatly honored. The first ruler has been exceedingly strengthened. I will number them, and they will be more numerous than the sand. I rose up, and I am still with you. O God, if only you would cut down sinners. You men of blood, depart from me. For you say in thought, they will accept your cities in vain. Have I not hated those who hated you, Lord, and wasted away because of your enemies? I have hated them with a perfect hatred, and they have become enemies to me. Examine me, O God, and know my heart. Question me, and know my paths, and see if there might be in me the way of iniquity, and lead me in the way of eternity.
So, Lisa, I have a question for
Yes.
you. Does your soul know the miraculous works of God? Because that was right in the middle of this whole thing.
Yes, it was.
And so that jumped out at me along with the very beginning about, God knows everything about us, right?
Yes,
And no matter
yes.
where we are, God can be present to us.
Yes.
But do you know, does your soul know the miraculous works of God?
Well, I mean, every day is a miracle. I mean, we're surrounded by miracles, and we just have to open our eyes to see all that is around us, including miracles. So I guess, yes, my soul knows.
Good. I think my soul knows too, right? I think sometimes we can let the things of life sway us in a different direction.
Sure.
Right? Especially maybe when the Lord doesn't heal something in us or in a family member. It can be easy to get discouraged, like we talked about a few episodes ago with God's permissive will.
Yes.
But ultimately, God wants to draw us all to Himself, right? So that we can be in that eternal homeland, like you suggested from the prior episode, which is heaven itself. And I think sometimes, do you feel like God doesn't know you? Because I think you've told me
Well,
that before.
No, I know God knows me, but I don't necessarily always feel that way. And not so much know, but like I feel sometimes, I guess, rejected by God. Even though I know it's not true, but I still, sometimes you can't help the way you feel.
Right. Why do you think that you have that rejection, though?
Because of wounds. Like,
Right.
I have a wound of rejection that's deep-seated that, God is slowly healing, but I still have moments where I have irrational thoughts such as that.
Don't I know it?
Because
Don't I
of
know
that
it?
wound.
I'm just kidding, Lisa. You're right. And sometimes we project those wounds onto God, right?
Yes, sure.
And which is what I hear you describing.
Yes,
And
yes.
and He knows perfectly what it is that we're going through, and His timing, I think, as we talked about several episodes ago, is really, it can sanctify us and it can purify us if we just continue, even in those moments where we feel like we're even being rejected by God, to just keep our hearts open to Him, to give Him thanks and praise, which I think you do a good job of, and to just really persist in allowing Him to enter into all of who we are.
And I think sometimes that God allows us to maybe have those feelings because that's part of the healing process.
Right.
Because if we know that something is false, yet we're still believing it, I think that's kind like, God like fully knows us, as the psalm says, and fully loves us. And when we can, allow that to heal that wound, then we will stop, or I will stop having that feeling that God is rejecting me.
I can tell you this, Lisa, there are plenty of people that have deep-seated, deep-rooted wounds that are so buried
Yeah.
that people don't know that they're there.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Or they've just blocked them out, right? Because they don't want to deal with them.
Oh, sure.
And they create a lot of the turbulence, if you will, in our lives. And so being able to recognize those things and then get back to the core root issues,
Yeah.
which are causing all of this other stuff, so that you can invite God into that place,
Right.
so that He can enter into there and bring about the healing that only He can. And then it changes everything else.
Oh, sure. And I think the Be Healed book really helped me to recognize what my wounds were, because it, I knew that like certain things had happened to me, but I didn't, and I had like feelings of rejection and feelings of abandonment, but I guess I didn't really know what that necessarily meant, or that like that's why I acted certain ways in certain situations. So when, like you said, like I think a lot of things were deep rooted or deeply buried, and ever since I read that book, I think they're kind of brought to the surface. And like maybe that's sometime, like there was a period of time when I was like struggling with anger, and I don't necessarily consider myself an angry person,
No.
but I was really having like a month or two of like just feeling really angry. But actually anger is because of, I can't remember which of my wounds, but anger is actually a sin
Associated with that
wound, which I think like God brought that to my to the surface so that I could be healed of it in a certain way. Because I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I went to visit my friend in the hospital and she had a wound back, and then the next time I went to adoration, I felt like God was saying to me that He's the wound back, and he's bringing this
Oh, cool.
anger to the surface so that He can remove it. So for those who don't know, like a wound vac like takes out like all the pus and helps suck up the infection that's inside the body. So that's where that analogy.
Yeah, because you don't really feel good when you're injured, right? And there's
Right.
a lot of these other things can be manifested in different ways, depression, anger, whatever
Yeah.
it may be,
Yeah.
and you have to be healed.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right, well, I'm Deacon Dave.
I'm Lisa.
See you next time.